Hey, what's up, guys? David Glenn of davidglennrecording.com and theproaudiofiles.com. Today, I'm coming at you with a video to talk about vocals, and even more specific, Waves have introduced the Butch Vig Vocals plugin, and I jumped all over it, took advantage of the discount introduced at $99 instead of $150. And I pulled it open just about 5 minutes before going live with this video, and I was putting it through its paces to try to get familiar with it, and I really like it. So I think I will be finding myself using this, but more important than getting a plugin like these plugins from Waves, the Signature series, is to understand it and to break down the different modules and know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And so I figured a tutorial would be helpful to kind of break the plugin down, show you a comparison of my plugin chain that's been adapted from the De Pensado method. You can catch that on his ITLs, and then show you with nothing but the Waves Butch Vig Vocals plugin, and let you hear for yourself the comparison. And then we're going to go even further in depth into a part 2, where I'm going to break down the different modules and show you stock plugins and free plugins that you can use to accomplish similar techniques, so that you can really break down and understand what's going on before you just jump into pulling up presets and doing your thing. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. We're going to jump right in. The first things first, I've got a song called I Don't Know, which we're featuring at themixacademy.com right now. If you want to get your hands on this, go check out themixacademy.com, and you can get the multi-tracks and all of my tutorials behind making this one. The artist is Nolan Garrett, so I want to give a shout out to him. Get a link in the description below. More of that to come, but right now we're going to hit play and take a listen to how I've got the vocal mix, and this is going through my chain. Got the VMR, EQ, multiband, all kinds of stuff happening here, and I'm going to show you what that sounds like. So here's that.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us, but it ain't easy when your mind don't work like that.
Okay, so there's my quick mix of it, and then what I've got up here is the Butch lead, I've called it, for Butch Vig, and then I've got nothing but his plugin on this track. The sends here, I'm going to actually bypass those for a quick second, and they're the same sends from down here, a little chorus, little UAD mono dimension D, and then I've got some delay. I'm going to bypass those effects, and I'm going to solo my vocal processing. So right now you're going to hear my vocal in solo, and then I'm going to switch, and I'm going to unmute my Butch lead, and we're going to hear the difference between the two. Before I started the video, just kind of dialed in some tones to feel it out and see what I liked and didn't like, and wasn't anything I didn't like other than lack of control in a couple features. But let's take a listen and see what the difference is. Here's my vocal processing.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us.
Okay, and then here's Butch.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us, but...
Okay, pretty close, right? I think that the only thing I really hear is I could use some more compression, a little bit of extra oomph from it to kind of clean up the dynamic range there, but not bad, right? So the only thing going on is the Butch Vig plugin, which is pretty sweet. I'm going to break this down. I'm going to reset all the parameters and mix it in front of you. But first, what I want to do is I want to show you in context of the song and these effects. So let's come down here and put these back in. And here is, we're going to start out with my processing, and that's got a parallel chain and so all kinds of stuff. If you want to learn more about this process, you can go to mixingvocals.com and check that out. But here is this in the mix, and then I'm going to quickly switch between the two.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us, but it ain't easy when your mind don't work like that. 'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us, but it ain't easy when your mind don't work like that.
Okay, so I try to keep that switching between the two in like phrases so you can hear. And really the only thing that I would say is I could really just use an extra little bit of a layer of compression, which I've got this one pushed almost all the way up. Let's see, maybe if I do just push it all the way, it'll get that in our face tone that I'm going for here.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there
That's pretty gnarly, right? Okay, so if you want to learn more about the sends, email me. We'll check that out together. But just apples to apples, this is the only plugin in the chain, and it's kicking some serious butt. So I'm digging that. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to take and put this back to the factory default settings, and I've made my lead vocal processing inactive over here, and we're just going to work with the Butch lead track and push this guy. So there's some volume changes along the way, so bear with me as I kind of work through it, but you'll see me work through it, and I'll explain some of the processing as we go. So first things first, let's take a listen and dial in some compression. Okay, so I just boosted the compression way up, like a really in-your-face tone for this song, and I've done that by just pushing it just about all the way up. As you saw before, we may push that over the edge to 100%, but then I brought up the gain because while I don't have any gain in the EQ, I want to hear what's going on, so we'll probably be adjusting that as well. Looking at the low cut, I love in the video he talked about high pass, low pass, and how he prefers to say low cut, high cut. Totally agree with him, and I've tried for so long. I say it correct a lot of the times, but I get it wrong. We all do. So humble down, call it a low cut and a high cut, and join the Butch Vig party with that. So I'm going to use a low cut, pretty much like 90 to 100, somewhere in there. He talked about that in his video as well. That's about the sweet spot. Some songs you may see it's all the way up to 150. For effects, you may ride this up even further, but we got a sweet filter there. And then I'm going to move in and start boosting with some of the EQ. So let's see what we get.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us, but it ain't easy when your mind don't work like that. 'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see.
Okay, and then by boosting presence and air, I'm getting some of the sibilants to come through. And he's got this de-esser here, and in the video he talked about that's a fixed 6K region that's de-essing against it, which works for a ton of vocalists. But something that I'll probably do is do a custom de-esser on the back end, just so we can kind of fixate on whatever frequency is specific to the vocalist that we're working with. But this is a good de-esser. Let's pull that in, see what we get.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there.
Okay, and show you a little trick I like to use when I'm de-essing. Let me solo this guy and find an S.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there.
That C is pretty gnarly. Let's zoom in and find. There we go. So what I'll do is I'll highlight that section. Actually, I'll make a loop of that section, and I'll listen to what the de-esser is doing, and I'll pull it in to taste.
More than what I see out, 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 more.
Okay, and you can do that to taste. You may want some of the top end in it. You may want none of it, so you can squash it if you want. Moving away from the de-esser, let's listen back in the track and come back here, maybe, yep, highlight that whole section, and let's see, maybe get a little bit of the lows back for us.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us, but it ain't easy when your mind don't work like that.
Okay, sounds pretty cool. Now, one of the first things I like to do when I mix a vocal is add character or saturation, give some tone with some distortion, saturation plugins. You've got like the saturation knob out from SoftTube, which is really great and free, and so you can use that one. We'll get to that in part 2. But built into the Butch Vig are tube saturation and solid state saturation. So let's go ahead and pull some of that up, get a little character going.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us, but it ain't easy when your mind don't work like that. 'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there.
Okay, so we're getting some grit pretty early on, which for me, I backed off the input just a little bit and just kind of feeling this out. And I really like what it's doing. Let's push it a little harder and see what we get from it.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us.
Sounds pretty sweet, right? So we got some cool character we can add, but I'm going to back this off a little bit more gentle just to give it some oomph. And then we've got these filters here for high and low cut where we can shape that saturation tone. Now, when we push saturation distortion into a vocal, a lot of times it can get harsh or brittle sounding. And so by having this high cut here, I can dial this back and filter those highs from the saturation. And I'm going to do that to taste.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us. But it ain't easy when your mind don't work like that. 'Cause I
Cool, and so that enables us to push the saturation harder because now it's only affecting the lows and the mid-range as opposed to all that extra top end. So a great addition there, and you can go check out the Waves video for tube versus solid state. There's good uses for each of them. I dig the tube, a little bit warmer, and that's that. So let's take a listen. Let's see, the mid cut I didn't really use on this one, but I could hear how it could be useful to get rid of some of those unwanted mid frequencies, and it's a scoop at about 6.5 dB. I guess we can show off what it looks like here, what it sounds like. Let's hit play.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us. But it ain't easy when your mind don't work like that. 'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there.
Cool. I actually kind of dig that at around 500. But one of my favorite tutorials is from Dave Pensado, and he talks about mixing a vocal and the sweet spot kind of being around that 1 to 2K region where he'll take a bell and boost the EQ around 1K, and he'll kind of search between 800, kind of scoop up a little bit, go to like 2K, find a sweet spot where the vocals really sounding nice, and then he'll boost there, 3, 4 dB, whatever it takes, and then he'll cut on either side of it a little bit to further accentuate the frequency that he's boosting. Well, this plugin comes with a focus parameter where you can take the 1K region and you can use what they've described, which is kind of said it's like a multi-band EQ and compression going on, but just in the 1K region in parallel, or 2. So it's a quick look at, does 1K sound better than 2? Does it fit better in the song with 1 or 2? And then you're rocking and rolling, you're moving on to other things. So let's take a listen to what that's doing off, and then I'll pull in 1K and then 2K. Let's see what happens.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out. 'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there. 'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there.
Okay, so I did that quickly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it off for just about this whole first section, and then when we get to the second half, I'm going to go to 1, and then at the turn, I'll put it at focus number 2.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us. But it ain't easy when your mind don't work like that. 'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there.
Pretty cool, right? I think I dig 1. It's a little bit pushy for me, so I think I'm just going to back off the output a little bit and compensate for that extra gain in the 1K region. So let's see what that sounds like. Let me make sure.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us. But it ain't easy when your mind.
Okay, now here's where, when we were looking at the AB before, I felt like I could use a little bit more compression, maybe even a limiter. And by pushing this compress knob all the way up to 100, I get that. So let me back off of it, and then I'm going to engage going to 100 after the first half.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us. But it ain't easy when your mind don't work like that. 'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there.
Yeah, so definitely in your face. When you push it to 100, you maybe want to keep an eye on the input and make sure that your input is driving They've got this meter up here with all of their Signature Series plugins where if you push it too hard, it'll go from green to yellow to red. So you can see, hey, break the rules by all means, push your sound in if you like what it's doing when you push it to red, but that's there as kind of a gauge so you can keep yourself in check with how the things are working behind the scenes. So that's kind of a quick look at what this plugin can do. One more time, let me do the walkthrough with the effects, because these add some gain, and so I'll probably back off the output, and then we're going to break into part 2, where I'm going to kind of walk you through the processing of saturation, EQ, and some of that stuff without this plugin, but with your stock and free plugins. So one more time, here's this on our way out, and we'll catch you in part 2.
'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there for us, but it ain't easy when your mind don't work like that. 'Cause I want to believe that there's more than what I see out there.